seems to be a common idea that if you're humble, you don't brag and you don't talk about yourself, which I agree with for the most part, until it interferes with truth. And I think instead of taking the extreme route of, for example, another alternative that seems to be common would be if somebody's complimented it, instead of just saying thank you, they'll say, "Oh no, that's not true." When really, as C.S. Lewis would put it, it's not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. And when thought lined up with those words from C.S. Lewis, it gives me a thought about the scripture that says to boast in your weakness. And rather than taking humility to the extreme of lying about something that's true, to kind of fabricate a humility that's really just ultimately selfishness, because it takes less to just say, we're not thinking of ourselves as much if we just say thank you, right? Than if we take the time to try and deny a compliment. It's really, you have to think of how that compliment applies to you. You're thinking of yourself, and is it true? Is it not true? It's really kind of a selfish mindset to deny something and use and try and create a sense of humility. And that's what I believe it is an effort to exude humility. And I don't believe that to be genuine. I'm not saying anyone who's ever done that's not humble or anything like that. It's just some thoughts from my brain. And instead of taking the extreme of, like I said, saying something that isn't true, maybe I think I want to give this a go. And I want to challenge anyone who's willing to accept the challenge to join me and boast in our weaknesses. For me, it means to, I wanted to ask, I realize I'm not talking to anyone right now. I'm recording this. So, but let's think about what that means to us. And to me, I'd like to share, it means calling myself out in a truthful manner more, not for negativity, not for self-pity, not to, call attention to ourselves or out of insecurity, but just in a genuine, happy, comfortable with being weak without God, calling ourselves out to maintain humility. And it's not that extreme when you think about it. It's not saying anything that isn't true. And I believe that it will naturally create humility by just simply calling ourselves out just on things that we're doing that we normally would keep to ourselves, right? Like, especially for myself, I know I can speak for myself, okay? Forgive me if I was speaking for you, if it wasn't you. But for me, I'll go around and I'll kind of keep to myself things that are maybe embarrassing, but they're embarrassing to me because of my standard or what I regard as normal or whatever I see as being acceptable. So with that being said, it's what are my standards, right? And I strive for my standards to be perfect, and even though, as the majority of humans would agree, perfection is, as far as I don't know, moral. That's thin ice there, but more like perfection. Never make a mistake of any kind whatsoever, basically. But I do want to. I would do part of this challenge does involve the spiritual aspect of the morality. So specifically for me, it would be to walk around basically trying to justify something I've done to someone, or being falsely accused of something, saying someone saying I did something, and I right and well know I didn't do it. Um, it wouldn't be to say, no, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, but to allow the series of events to go in the direction that they're headed while remaining calm and presenting truthful information, all while not defending ourselves. Allowing God to be our defense, I think, is one of my greatest challenges in life. I think naturally it's a human trait to want to defend ourselves as humans, and maybe you could agree. I don't know if you've ever noticed in your walk of life with the Lord, which is Jesus. Just make sure we're all on the same page. If you found everything I said interesting or intriguing or relevant or relatable up to this point, and then I said Jesus, and it made you want to immediately turn this off, I want to, for those people that applies, I want to challenge you to question why the word Jesus took off. Was it a past experience, the way someone else treated you who claimed to believe in Jesus? Was it an experience from somewhere else, maybe in the setting of what most people call a church, of a building? Or was it on someone screamed and tried to basically perform an exorcism on you, like you were possessed when you were just standing there kind of freaked out? Were you prophesied over? Were you, in a way, meaning like, still speaking to these people who may still be listening, somehow turned off by is there some correlation? Is it tied in somehow to the idea that really has nothing to do with Jesus? Because who Jesus was and what he did and what it means is life changing, is life itself, matter of fact. And I want to start boasting in my weakness more. Okay, that's what inspired the beginning of this recording, and I really want to make sure I get this point across, so that this challenge can be properly accepted, if you may be willing. So, let me try to give some examples here. Throughout this message, I have overthought way too much about trying to relate to people I don't know. I'm trying to have too much control concerning something that I have no control of. I think see this is where it gets extreme, because it's literally giving our entire self like societal status up just to boast in weakness. And that's what we have to remember, why it's important to boast in weakness. It's not just so we can say we're humble. I'm just suggesting that it's maybe a great technique for remaining humble, because we have to relinquish ourselves to when we do it. So here's another example. See if you understand why. Before I said this, I wanted to say that. Oh man, I wish I would have just said it, because I'm kind of losing it. Okay, so okay, here's another example. So I do it again. How about I am so fearful of what others may think of what I'm gonna say on this recording that it creates in me some ego that wants to sound, talk, and and even be different than I would be while I wasn't making this recording. So basically, to admit something like that, right, is it's almost like losing the power behind what where I'm coming from or who I am, because if I'm not being my true, if one's not being their true self, it's kind of a turnoff for someone to want to listen to it, right? If we know someone's putting on a show, unless they're called an actor or an actress, and then it's okay again, right? Because society has given that title to it. But I'm talking about going beyond ourselves and just really boasting in every little weakness that there is. Once again, not to roast ourselves, but kind of just staying positive, like enjoying it, like boasting in our weaknesses, meaning like it's a positive thing, because the only thing that we have that is pure, real power and strength to offer anything good that I might have said that affected you in a positive way, it came from something bigger than me, right? So what inspired me to even start this recording, it wasn't, I mean, someone argue it to me, and here I go again, just overanalyzing every little thing I say. So it's tough to stay positive. If you find yourself doing this naturally, I'd be interested to know as well, because you may be a natural, and I don't know, maybe you could give me some tips and help me be more humble and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's interesting because humility, I had this thought once, and I'm not sure how to complete it. Humility doesn't recognize itself, right? So if somebody says, "Oh man, you're a humble guy," the person's response to that is that going to reveal whether or not they're humble? Or if someone were to say, "Oh, I'm such a humble guy. I'm such a humble person. I'm so humble." Does that reveal in itself whether or not they're humble? I don't think words can do it alone, but any one particular scenario could help us kind of form a pattern if we were around someone enough to see that, oh wait, they're not trying to justify their self, they're constantly calling themselves out. I'm not sure, maybe that makes other people uncomfortable. Can I get some feedback on that? Is there a healthy way to do this? Has this already been put into practice? Is this not a new thought? There's a great way to call myself out right now. The fact that I for some reason thought that I might have made this up, like, "Oh, are you looking for some glory there, sir? Would you like some of the glory? That's all of God's glory. Are you looking for some of that?" So just kind of fun little ways to boast in my weakness. But yeah, let me know what you think.